Nowadays, Hollywood movies rely heavily on CGI, or computer-generated imagery, to produce their special effects. From spaceships exploding to crazy magic, CGI has become an integral part of big-budget productions. However, today we're going to be looking at movies that fans thought had CGI, but didn't for real. That's right, no CGI. Everything is practical effects. Now then, let's get right into it. Number 1, Star Wars: The Original Trilogy. Since it was made in the 1970s, many of the effects we see in Star Wars are not CGI. Instead, the crew would create models and puppets of different parts of the world and use the camera to film them as if they were life-size. The AT-ATs used throughout are actually small models, almost like a toy, and the camera is positioned so that they look bigger. Someone's actually puppeting them, which is why when you go back and watch the original trilogy again, you can notice slightly jerky movement. The same can be said for all the ships seen throughout the original Star Wars trilogy, and even the Rachnar. Most surprisingly, however, is the fact that the explosions in the trench run were all real practical explosions captured using high-speed photography in a parking lot. Crazy, right? Goes to show you that to make a good movie, you don't always need high-tech effects. Number 2, The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight is arguably the best superhero movie of all time, and that's not without good reason. The movie features everything from a compelling villain to complex themes, and of course, crazy practical effects. The famous car chase scene with all that wreckage is all practical. That's right, Christopher Nolan actually just closed down the streets of Chicago and proceeded to destroy literally anything in the path of the Batmobile. Perhaps the most impressive moment of that whole sequence is the climactic flipping of the semi-truck. Yeah, that's right. Christopher Nolan actually just flipped a semi-truck. To do this, he used steam pistons which were built into the trailer of the truck. The force then produced was enough to flip the massive semi. Moving on now to number 3, Mad Max: Fury Road. The director of Mad Max: Fury Road, George Miller, is nothing short of an ambitious perfectionist. This film was his passion project, and after several years of delays, he was finally able to realize his vision. And what an amazing vision it was. Almost none of the crazy explosions and crashes and fire you see in Mad Max: Fury Road are from CGI. The same could be said for all the cars seen in the film. All of them, with all their modifications, were made specially for the film. Perhaps the most striking thing in the film, however, is the Doof Warrior's flamethrower guitar. Yeah, that's real. That guitar actually spits flames. The George Miller props aren't just props, they're tools. Alright, number 4, Mission Impossible: Fallout. Now, most of the Mission Impossible movies could make this list for Tom Cruise alone. As many know, the famous actor does his own stunts. From hanging on the side of the Burj Khalifa in Mission Impossible: Ghost Protocol, to hanging on the side of a plane that's taking off in Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation, nothing Tom Cruise won't do. However, in the latest installment in the Mission Impossible franchise, Cruise literally jumps out of a plane and free falls for several thousand feet. Yeah, that scene was completely practical. No green screen or other visual effects tricks. Tom Cruise and a few cameramen just jumped out of an airplane in order to capture that scene. But it's just those kinds of insane stunts and practical effects that make the Mission Impossible franchise such a thrill to watch. Number 5, Independence Day. Everyone knows about Independence Day, the movie where Will Smith's character punches an alien and Bill Pullman as President Whitmore delivers what just might be the greatest speech ever. Even better is the scene where the alien ships proceed to set fire to New York City, LA, and Washington, D.C. Believe it or not, that sequence contains no CGI at all. All that fire is real, and the city we see destroyed is the model made by the special effects crew. The city was then placed on its side, and the crew dubbed the creation the Death Chimney. They would place pyrotechnics along the bottom of the chimney and point the camera downward. The result is the effect we see in the movie of a building blowing up from top to bottom. Hard to believe nowadays that such large-scale destruction wasn't CGI, but Independence Day relied heavily on model work, and it really paid off. Number 6, The Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings trilogy remains one of the most visually stunning, grand sets of movies ever made. That's largely due to the crazy lengths that director Peter Jackson went to in fully realizing the world of Middle-earth. For instance, the appearance of the hobbits as smaller than figures such as Gandalf wasn't done using CGI. Instead, Jackson cleverly used a technique called forced perspective. He'd place Gandalf nearer to the camera than the hobbits, causing the actors playing the hobbits to appear smaller. While it may sound like a very simple thing to achieve, there was some complexity to getting it right. For instance, when Frodo and Gandalf are riding in the cart together, it looks as though they're sitting side by side, when in reality, Frodo is a few feet behind Gandalf. Special cart had to be constructed so that from the direction of the camera is looking at, it would seem like a whole cart, but from the side, one could see the trickery at work. Next up is number 7, Jurassic Park. The dinosaurs in Jurassic Park were mostly made using a combination of that, along with animatronics, costumes, and puppets. There were moments where CGI use was necessary, like when we first hear that iconic theme and see the Brontosaurus, but most of the up-close interactions with dinosaurs were practical. Director Steven Spielberg recruited the help of a man named Stan Winston to create the lifelike dinosaurs. He and his team were responsible for creating many of the dinosaurs we see up close, like the 2 raptors in the famous kitchen scene. Spielberg wanted the children to react genuinely, so he tasked Stan and his crew with puppeting raptor suits in order to get the best reactions. The dedication that Stan and Spielberg put into their craft paid off, and Jurassic Park is still one of the most thrilling, awe-inspiring movies ever made. Number 8, Inception. Here we have yet another Christopher Nolan movie. Nolan really likes to use practical effects when he can. Even his most CGI-laden film, Interstellar, used practical effects for those fridge-like robots. While there certainly is CGI use in Inception, like the famous city folding scene, there are also moments where you think CGI was used, but it wasn't. The cafe scene where Leonardo DiCaprio and Elliot Page's characters are sitting and everything blows up around them was achieved using air cannons and a slow-motion camera. But perhaps the most crazy use of a practical effect is the hallway scene. For it, Nolan and a large crew actually built a fully rotating hallway and hotel room for actor Joseph Gordon-Levitt to fight in. Shooting the whole scene took 3 weeks, and the end result is only a small 30-second fight in the middle of the film. But wow, what an amazing 30 seconds it was. Number 9, Skyfall. Daniel Craig is no stranger to practical effects. In Casino Royale, the stunt team fitted Bond's Aston Martin with a nitrogen cannon in order to get it to flip the way they wanted. The result was an accidental world record. The most impressive practical effect, however, is the train fight scene in Skyfall. Every bit of action performed on top of the train is real. The only thing keeping them from falling off of it is a wire barely larger than a finger. In Skyfall, director Sam Mendes also crashes a train through a wall with no CGI whatsoever. To achieve this, they hung the train laterally and let its own force and weight blast through the wall. Number 10, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is an emotional and beautiful movie about a man who tries to rid himself of the memories of his girlfriend. Jim Carrey stars as Joel Barish, and director Michael Gondry employed the use of several clever tricks to bring to life the world of Joel's psyche. People and places pop up randomly throughout, but there is no CGI work used in those moments. In one scene in particular, to make it appear as if there are 2 Joel Barishes, Gondry asked Carrey to run as quickly as he could before the camera finished panning. The result is 2 Joel Barishes in the same scene, one viewing the memory and one a part of the memory, all achieved without any green screen or compositing. It's amazing the effect that practical effects can have on an audience's viewing experience. Well, that about does it for our list. Let us know any suggestions you have for future videos. Did we miss any movies that had some crazy practical effects? What are your favorite practical effects? Thanks for watching.